From the moment the music stopped, and every eye in the high school gym turned toward me, I knew I'd walked into something I wasn't prepared for. It wasn't just embarrassment. It wasn't just shock. It was the moment everything I thought I understood about strength, beauty, and courage was shattered, and rebuilt in a way I never expected. Because when I looked down and realized the girl I had just danced with was balancing on a single prosthetic leg, smiling at me like I had handed her the entire world, something inside me broke, and healed at the same time. Before we go deeper into this emotional story, if kindness, empathy, and second chances still mean something to you, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support truly helps these stories reach more hearts. I wasn't exactly someone who believed in miracles or dramatic life-changing moments back then. My name is Ethan Walker, a 17-year-old kid in the suburbs of Ohio, too shy to stand out, too awkward to fit in, and too scared to try anything that could make me look foolish. I'd always assumed people like me stayed invisible. I didn't think anyone really noticed whether I showed up or not. Life was something I moved through quietly, trying not to disturb anything around me, as if the world would shatter if I made the wrong move. My parents worked late, my small circle of friends wasn't exactly the emotional support kind, and school felt like a place where I floated from one day to the next without leaving any trace behind. So when the winter charity dance rolled around, I didn't plan on attending. Why would I? Dances were for confident kids, kids who seemed to know who they were. Kids who had smiles bright enough to light up a gym decorated with paper snowflakes and silver streamers. Kids who didn't worry about whether their presence was a mistake. But my best friend, Marcus, insisted I go, telling me I needed a night to live a little. And because I didn't have the energy to argue, I went. I didn't expect the dance to be beautiful, but it somehow was. The gym glowed with soft lights that made everything look warmer, safer. People laughed, the music thumped in a way that made my chest buzz, and for a moment I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time, a sense that maybe I wasn't entirely alone. I stood by the bleachers, hands in my pockets, watching couples sway on the dance floor, pretending I didn't wish I had the courage to join them. That's when the prank happened. Marcus nudged me and pointed toward a girl standing by the refreshments table. Her back was to me, long golden brown hair falling gracefully across a pale blue dress. She looked delicate, almost angelic from the distance. I figured he was joking when he said, "She's been waiting for you," but before I could laugh it off, two other guys from our class swooped in. They were troublemakers, the type who laughed at everything except themselves. They shoved me forward, calling out loudly, telling everyone around us I had promised someone a dance. The music happened to quiet down at that exact moment, amplifying their voices and my humiliation. My instinct was to run. But before I could move, the girl turned around. Her name, though I didn't know it yet, was Grace Daniels. And never had a name matched a person more perfectly. Her eyes were soft but curious, the kind that made you feel like she could see the parts of you tried to hide. She didn't look confused or annoyed, just surprised, and hopeful in a way I didn't understand. The boys behind me were laughing, waiting to see me crumble. They thought I'd back out, mumble an apology, and make a fool of myself. But Grace took a small step forward, giving me a shy, gentle smile, and something inside me froze. She wasn't in on the joke. She wasn't mocking me. She truly thought I wanted to dance with her. So I nodded. It was clumsy. My voice barely worked. But I managed to offer my hand, and the moment I did, her face brightened like I'd just flipped a switch inside her chest. She placed her hand in mine with a kind of trust one hadn't felt from anyone in years. And before I knew it, I was guiding her to the center of the dance floor as a slow song washed through the speakers. I didn't notice anything unusual right away. I think I was too nervous, too focused on not stepping on her feet, too overwhelmed by the fact that someone as beautiful as her was actually smiling at me. We moved slowly, carefully, like we were both learning how to breathe again. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like fading into the background. The world didn't feel heavy. For those first quiet minutes, all I felt was warmth. Then I felt it, the slight tap of something that wasn't quite a foot against mine. A different rhythm in her steps. A stability that didn't match the softness of her movements. I glanced down, and that's when I realized the truth. She had only one leg. The other was a sleek, silver and black prosthetic, hidden partially by her flowing dress. I froze. Not out of fear. Not out of disgust, but out of shame, because I knew, deep down, the boys behind us hadn't just been trying to embarrass me. They had been trying to humiliate her, too. Grace sensed the shift instantly. Her body stiffened just slightly, and she whispered, almost too softly to hear, "Please, don't stop." Her voice trembled, not with fear but with vulnerability. And in that instant, my world rearranged itself. She wasn't fragile. She wasn't broken. She wasn't someone to pity. She was brave, braver than I had ever been. So I didn't stop. I tightened my hold gently, guiding her back into the rhythm, letting the music carry us again. She looked up at me with a gratitude so raw it made my throat burn. And as we moved together, she whispered the words that would stay with me forever, "I've never been this happy before." Those words didn't make sense at first. How could dancing with someone like me bring someone like her happiness? But as the night unfolded, I learned the answer in pieces, like slowly turning pages of a book that you never expected would matter so much. Grace had lost her leg 2 years earlier in a car accident. She used to be a competitive dancer, the kind who filled rooms with joy and confidence. But after the accident, she withdrew from everything she loved. People treated her differently, some with pity, some with discomfort, others with cruelty. She told me she had attended the dance on a dare from her cousin, who'd spent weeks insisting she deserved to have fun again. But she had come alone, and she didn't expect anyone to notice her, much less ask her to dance. When the song ended, I expected her to let go. But she didn't. She asked if we could stay on the floor a moment longer, even without music. We just stood there, surrounded by other students whose laughter, whispers, and movements blurred together like streaks of color. For the first time in a long time, neither of us felt invisible. Word spread quickly. People noticed. Some stared. Some smirked. Some whispered. But Grace didn't shrink away, and I didn't either. For the first time, I felt like I was standing for something, someone who deserved more than the world had given her. Over the next hour, we talked. Really talked. She told me about her accident, her therapy, her fear of people's stares, her longing to dance again even just once. I told her about my insecurities, how I felt unseen and unimportant, how I didn't think someone like me could ever make a difference. And she looked at me like she disagreed with every negative thing I'd ever believed about myself. Something changed in me that night. It wasn't sudden, like lightning. It was gentle. Quiet. A shift I felt deep in my chest, reminding me that kindness isn't loud or dramatic. It's choosing to show up. Choosing to stay. Choosing to see someone fully, even when others refuse. When the dance ended, I walked her to her car. Her father greeted me with surprise that slowly softened into appreciation, like he could see something in me he approved of. Grace hugged me before leaving, telling me she felt alive again. A phrase that echoed in my mind the whole walk home. In the weeks that followed, Grace and I grew close. We met at a local park, then at the cafe downtown, then at the small dance studio where she used to practice. The first time she asked me to help her learn to dance again, I felt honored in a way I couldn't explain. It wasn't just about dancing. It was about trust, about healing, about believing in the possibility of beauty in broken places. I watched her struggle, physically, emotionally, painfully, through steps that once came effortlessly to her. But each time she stumbled, each time frustration made her eyes glisten with unshed tears, she would take a breath, look at me, and say, "Let's try again." And every time she said those words, I felt my admiration for her deepen. I learned that strength isn't perfection. Strength is courage in the face of fear. Strength is choosing to rise even when falling feels easier. One evening, months later, as we stood together in the dance studio during golden hour, sunlight painting her silhouette like a living portrait, she completed a full spin on her prosthetic leg for the first time since her accident. She collapsed into laughter, genuine and wild, and I found myself laughing with her. She hugged me tightly, burying her face in my shoulder, and whispered, "You gave me my dancing back." But the truth was, she had given me something too. She taught me how to see myself. How to believe in my worth. How to understand that love, real love, isn't about perfection. It's about presence. About showing up for someone when they need it most. About holding their hand even through their pain. As our bond deepened, I realized that night at the dance wasn't a prank gone wrong, it was fate disguised.